Welcome to the weekend recap of Simply Bitcoin. We break down the news from Twitter, the daily fail, meme review, and the software releases. And of course, the websites by plebes or plebs. Today, we've got a very special guest, fellow toxic Bitcoiner and podcaster, talking about Caro. He does the Bitcoin Rehab podcast, and he's also written several articles and a book, I believe. Anyways, we're going to get him to join in on the fun later, but right now, we're going to the numbers. Let's do it. At the time of this recording, the block height is 690,457. The Bitcoin price, 33,890. Chain rewrite days, 1,150. Total public lightning capacity, 1,758.6 BTC. Bitcoin versus gold market cap, 5.39%. And the sats per dollar, same as yesterday, it feels like, 2,951. We are working on a dashboard that is going to show the differences. Stay tuned. Had the first meeting.
Stay tuned, and it's going to look good, man. I'm honestly super excited. Shout out to Weinicus, of course, fellow plebe. But yeah, man, dude, Groundhog Day. I've ran out of things to say. Like, what else?
Whatever.
Consolidating, bro. Yeah. Literally, like, Bitcoin is frozen in time. But it doesn't matter if you just want to stack some sats. But anyways, Phil, it's time for it.
The daily fail. All right, I know that we promised the rug pulls every week. You guys can shit on me in the comments, but this was too good. This was too good of a fail that I could not do a rug pull over this, because this is epic level trolling. What are we talking about? Let's dive in. At Gegelsmer changed his name to Israel Investment Fund Group. And here we go. As part of Portfolio's diversification policy, we have invested $2.3 billion in Bitcoin. It is part of a global strategy to lead Israel to the future of the currency. Very interesting. Okay, and actually, you know what? I want to give a shout out to LC Hoddle. He's the one who brought this up to me this morning, and I was like half asleep, and he sends me this tweet, and he's like, "This is epic." I'm like, I have no idea what I'm looking at. I did not catch it. Huh?
Only if he would have some really, how would I say, crazy journalists who would just turn this into some viral news.
Well, that's interesting you say that, Kara. So here, let's take a look at what the Israel Investment Fund is finding on Google. So here, there's a CoinGape article. Israeli sovereign fund has invested a massive 2.3 billion in. Okay, now hold on. This gets even better. So here we go. He retweets an article from coinounce.com. Okay, and let's go take a look at that article. Yeah, that's right. They retracted it because they realized they got trolled. But this is absolutely hilarious. It goes to show you how these mainstream media outlets, they don't do any research at all. They don't dig into anything that they're reading. It's so sad. Like, and that really should make you question all the other information that you're getting, right?
Just crank it out. Give the content, going on. Keep it going on. More profit, more ads, you sell. All that shit, just keep people hooked up on the stuff. That's it.
Yeah, dude, because it's literally, it becomes all about the clicks, right? Like, literally, like, the ethics die, right?
They don't care about their ethics.
And it's crazy because they use also fact checkers, which also lie, bro. Like, like, if you look at the Twitter fact checkers, like, dude, like, they'll say they'll say something about, whatever the thing that's happening in the world that I don't want to say because it's YouTube, but and then, like, 6 months later, that turns out to be false, and, like, we've seen this happen over and over again, and it's just like, man, like, it feels like we're living in 1984, but it's cool because we got Bitcoin. So which
fact checker just lost his job? That's what I want to know, because, like, bro,
they don't pay any consequences, man. Like, it's crazy, dude. Like not to get political or anything, but I think like the last president just, like, made a major lawsuit against them. So, like, I know it's, like, a huge deal, and, like, dude, like, it is true, bro. Like, Twitter, like, free yellow, bro. Like, Twitter's kind of they kind of, they like to censor people, so I don't know what's gonna happen with that, but it's okay because I have Bitcoin.
Free yellow.
Free yellow. Anyways, Phil, it's time for
The Daily Meme Review.
all right, everybody. The meme for today is brought to us by Ghost of Orwell. You go follow him at iTruth84. He's definitely a fellow plebe. Now let's check this out. Bitcoin only, shitcoins, noobs. Losing value against Bitcoin, rug pull, Bitcoin podcast books, maximalists, toxicity. Wow, dude. Wow. Ghost of Orwell. That is like, man, that is a phenomenal meme. That is, dude, deep. I completely agree. I'm just going to send that to people because it explains it so well. But
Everything.
Anyway, for that meme, Phil, I'm going to give it a BitGo, the Apex Predator poster. Block 684,000. Awesome.
Dude.
What about you, Phil?
That is very cool. Very, very cool. Yeah, so look, that meme is absolutely epic. I mean, it pretty much does our job of conveying what happens in Bitcoin in one picture. Really, really well done. You know what? Before I knew what the meme was, I was going to give it something a lot less significant. Okay? But now seeing what it is, I am giving it my first Lightning node case, the Energon Cube. This was the first one that Crypto Cloaks printed for me several years ago.
Boom.
Yep.
What about you, Carl?
10 out of 10. It's totally loaded. It's perfect. It tells you like the roller coaster probably should have been putting into one of them. But yeah, I mean, it's perfect.
So what do you give it for a score?
10 out of 10.
Oh,
You're actually giving it a real number.
10
I'm sorry, we're not used to the numbers anymore. That's why you just totally screwed us up. We're like, what?
But bro,
what's the score?
listen. Those are fucking great scores. Because, dude, I wouldn't have given it that Bitcoin poster if it wasn't like a phenomenal meme. All right, that was out of the box. I think Phil, you said kind of the same thing. Carl gave it, literally 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Right. So, man. Orwell something, shout out, man. That was a good meme. But anyways, guys, do you agree with our scores? Do you disagree? Let us know down in the comment section. And of course, join our Telegram group and link us some memes so we can review them. But anyways, Phil, it's time for
The Daily News, sponsored by Crypto Cloaks.
Phil. Looks like another country is looks like they have a bright orange future ahead of them. A tweet from Carlitos Rejala, a Paraguayan politician. He says, "I am here to unite Paraguay. That is why we decided with Senator FC, another Paraguayan politician."
Silva Facetti.
Thank you, Phil. To present together the bill Bitcoin on Wednesday, July 14th. Stay tuned since there will be a mega surprise for Paraguay and the world. Something giant is coming. So it looks like Paraguay is following the steps of El Salvador, right? They want freedom. They want freedom, and they're voting it in, and there's nothing anyone else could do about it. And again, bro, they're gonna, not only are they're gonna save money from all those remittance fees that I'm sure they pay an arm and a leg for already, and bro, like, they're gonna free themselves from the IMF, from the World Bank, from tyranny, man. So super exciting from the people of Paraguay. I hope that bill passes. I have faith, man. And we've been saying, bro, this is gonna be a virus. It's been spreading all around the world, and that's exactly what we're seeing, man. It's fucking glorious to see. But yeah, what do you think?
Personal freedom is infectious, right? Once you get a taste of it, it's like, wait a second, things could actually be better. I could be living a better quality life. And hey, look at that, Paraguay, number 2, who's number 3, right? It's like, I can't even believe that this is happening so quick. Like, I still remember in 2017, we were all excited that these ridiculous institutions were going to come and join. Nobody even cares. Like JP Morgan is sitting there trying to be relevant. I saw some tweet from Caitlin Long where they wrote some report, You know, and it's like nobody even cares. You're not even relevant anymore. You've got countries that are looking at Bitcoin to save themselves. You know? So, yeah, bullish.
Bullish. But, yeah, Caro, what do you think?
It's very bullish. The dominoes are finally falling, but I look more deep into this one. He's not in a majority, and he's going to have a really uphill battle to get this passed in the parliament or whatever there in Paraguay. But I hope they're going to pass it, and I hope for the good reasons.
Very interesting. And actually, you know what? You mentioned something very important, right? That it's not a majority. How many of us think that, you know, people are finding their way into the opposition and paying those people off, right? Because think about it, you know, all of a sudden the US started to, you know, care about El Salvador. Right?
Dude,
all of a sudden they cared about El Salvador's financial situation. They cared about, you know, like what they're doing with their money. All of a sudden the big news
popped up on their radar, you know.
Right?
Oh shit, what's this on my radar? Adopting Bitcoin? That's not good. We're gonna send my army. It didn't happen yet, but
the president
I hope it's not gonna end up like Haiti or something. So,
yeah, bro, that was so sketch, assassinated. But the president of El Salvador was smart, man. He's a young guy, and he's like United Fruit Company.
He's clever,
and we all know what that means, bro. And then he did the chess, you know, thing with the Jack Mahler's tweet, man. So, bro, I have faith. But of course, the opposition, man, things are looking dark in Europe. Let's check out some news, man. This is crazy. Like, you know, we thought this was gonna happen, but we've been saying this is gonna happen. But let's see. It looks like it's starting to happen. Anyways, let's check out this tweet by it comes from El Economista, a Spanish publication. Spain's legislator passes a law mandating disclosure of virtual currencies held abroad. I don't know how you're going to be able to enforce that. Like, Bitcoin isn't held abroad. It's just held all over the world, I guess. The fine is greater of $5,900 per incomplete disclosure, with a minimum of a $11,800 fine. Crazy. So, you know, that's scary, but it gets worse. Check out this article from Reuters. EU to propose a new body to tackle dirty money, documents say. And to quote from the article, a further proposal will introduce new EU requirements for service providers in Bitcoin and shitcoin assets to collect and make accessible data concerning the originators and beneficiaries of transfers in those assets. Transfers of such virtual assets are currently outside the scope of EU rules for financial services. The lack of such rules leaves holders of Bitcoin and shitcoin assets exposed to money laundering and financing of terrorism risk, as flows of illicit money can be done through transfers of Bitcoin and shitcoin assets, the document said. So, man, that's scary. That basically means if you're holding Bitcoin, it's illegal. But check out this other article from a less reputable source. But, man, after I read this and then this, man, it looks like the bureaucratic establishment that's supporting the fiat system in Europe is cracking down on Bitcoin. EU draft warns that ban possession of anonymous Bitcoin wallets. And remember, we've been covering this, the FATFA, you know, with their travel rule, what they would prefer, right, is they would prefer a report of every time you send a $3,000, you know, equivalent Bitcoin transaction, right? So again, you're seeing this and you're seeing the pattern of which this is going. Phil, what are you going to say?
Their narrative is bullshit, though. What is an anonymous wallet? Bitcoin is pseudonymous. There's no, this is the whole thing, right? They paint this completely false narrative, and they're just wrong about it. It's not anonymous. It's pseudonymous. And not to mention the fact that these laws that they keep trying to impose, they're all localized. Okay? So they are essentially, it's like the bed of Procrustes, right? They're essentially trying to fit Bitcoin into this mold, but Bitcoin doesn't fit into this mold. So they're going to sit there and cut off its arms and its legs so that they could stuff it in the box. Dude, and say, look, it fits in the box.
And dude, and it's not only that, Phil. It's like it's not only that. It's not only whatever the way they you know, in the method they're going to do it. they're straight up lying, bro.
Yeah.
They're lying. They're lying. And look, I'll show you the receipts. I'll show you the receipts. Anyways, to continue what exactly the European Union wants to do, according to this article, in addition to the restrictions on anonymous Bitcoin and shitcoin wallets, the EU draft also provides for an upper limit for cash transactions at retailers. In future, this should be a maximum of 10,000 euros throughout the EU. In the report, the U.S. company found the proposition of criminal Bitcoin and shitcoin transactions fell in 2020. Accordingly, only 0.3% of all transfers were actually for an illegal nature, right? So the actual criminal activity used by Bitcoin and shitcoins fell, right? But again, governments are passing more draconian measures, right? It's absolutely wild, man.
And they're uneducated. They don't care about it. They don't want to, fix it.
It's absurd. And look, so check this out. So 0.3%, right, of 0.3% of Bitcoin transactions and shitcoin transactions are illegal. But let's compare that to, for example, like the actual illegal activity in a country, right? Mm-hmm. So how big is America's underground economy? And it says, and again, this is a very reputable source. This is Investopedia. Estimates vary widely, but some put the underground economy at 11 to 12% of U.S. gross domestic product. And what currency and what system are they using, those criminals, right? The criminals that obviously they're pulling in a ton of money.
You know what they're using.
Let's see what they're using, right? So this is the SWIFT system. This is from SWIFT, right? Who is SWIFT? SWIFT, they look, very, very just low-key website, but essentially the global provider of secure financial messaging services. SWIFT is, blah, blah, blah.
Transfer money between the banks.
Exactly, but check out how many transactions. In 2019, more than 11,000 SWIFT member institutions, that's a lot of banks, sent approximately 33.6 million transactions per day through the network. So these guys are huge. And these guys are admitting, SWIFT says criminals prefer cash for money laundering, not cryptocurrency, right? Not cryptocurrency. But look at these fucking laws from the European Union, right? It's like they want to crack down on something that's not being used for crime.
They're going to sell you a completely different narrative. That's exactly what it is. And you just showed the receipts, right? I mean, the government is showing you one thing. The actual institutions that are handling the money begrudgingly are telling you the difference, right? I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure that they don't really want to publish that information. But at the same time, it's actually good that they're forthcoming about it. And the other thing is that let's not forget banking institutions like HSBC, right? These companies, they're funneling money for their friends and they're doing all kinds of sketchy things. And yet what is happening? People are looking at Bitcoin and pointing the finger at Bitcoin. This is done on purpose. It's totally done so that you sit there and build in your head that, Bitcoin is this, giant evil thing and this amazing current system which has ever inflating money and censorship and all the terrible things that come with bad money is somehow going to save you. It's just not the case. It really isn't. And unfortunately for them, Bitcoin exists.
Yeah, and dude, I can't even imagine, we're fortunate enough to live in the United States, Phil, but, I can't imagine what it would be like to, live in Europe right now and seeing those types of headlines and that, that's very scary. They're going to start making lists. They're basically saying, if you hold freedom money, you're illegal, right? It's very scary. But Car, what are your thoughts on this?
They're afraid. It clearly shows that they only make these totally pointless regulations because they're afraid, because they realize that they are now being threatened. But the system grows to such big size now, it's impossible to stop. if you're just gonna start bringing out laws to ban Bitcoin, it's just gonna move somewhere else. You're gonna move to fucking El Salvador, put in an asylum request or something. Anybody could actually do that, or do an investment of how many Bitcoins are needed for getting a citizenship. You're gonna be crappy, but I mean, at least you're gonna be free. Wouldn't that be better? Probably yes. And the EU is really big, and it's pointless with all the politicians, especially that guy. I don't know, the Sven Giegold, or what the hell this name is, of this eco-Nazi fascist who's trying to say that Bitcoin is environmentally unfriendly and you need to do everything in order to stop it. That guy is one of the problems, the biggest problems that we need to deal with. So that never comes back into the parliament ever, or gets reelected.
I like that.
We're not even electing him, probably. He's just there as a pretender that he does something interesting, just because a lot of people are uneducated about Bitcoin and they don't know jack shit. Is it my fault that people don't know jack shit? No, it's other people's fault that there are politicians out there that would know better, but they don't care because they're in this system. They're in the socialist system, especially the communist guy, that Sven guy. That's where I pull the red line. That when a politician starts threatening my money, that's when Bitcoin turns into a weapon.
So to add to your point, Carl, so yesterday we covered an article essentially that the European Union also wants to make private messaging illegal. They want to just, literally...
Oh, fuck them. I heard about it. It's one of the biggest bullshit. They want to dig into everybody's private lives. What do they want to see? Like, they want to see that 80% of people communicating on internet sending dick pics all around. But that's what they're going to see. That's what they want to see.
So, I mean, no. But my point, Carl, sorry to cut you out. My point, Carl, is that there's a poll of actual Europeans that wanted that. Right, that would allow that, like, they
10%,
wanted to give
15%, was
dude,
it?
It was literally 72% of Europeans were against.
I don't think so.
Against mass surveillance. So it's just scary that this bureaucracy, right, that's supported by fiat money, is like literally oppressing their fucking citizens with these crazy laws, man. And they're trying to they're not allowing the free market to decide what money they should use. They're basically shoving it down their throats. It's kind of scary, man.
Yeah, I get what you mean, but they also need this because if they don't have access to encrypted communication, they wouldn't be able to control people. Because when most of the Bitcoiners know that they're being watched and now they're using encrypted channels, now they want to see those channels there and be able to predict where the money is going. And that's their whole point. Eventually we'll get there, but now they're just trying to imagine things that don't even exist, like terrorist cells operating in Europe. There haven't been a terrorist attack in quite a long time. And it's totally pointless. We're just wasting a lot of money on it. Maybe they should, start digging into, banks in Europe that are doing real money laundering, child trafficking, or any out of human trafficking, or financing terrorism, or Russian hackers, or whatever else. This is what they should be looking into, not going after Bitcoin or looking into private citizens' communication on the internet. That's the biggest bullshit, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Phil, there was a software release today. Why don't you tell everybody about it?
Software releases. All right, looks like the Rust Lightning implementation, we've got version 0.0.99 that was released, and that's down below in the show notes.
Awesome. Thank you, Phil. All right, guys, but before we go, I want to give a shout out to our awesome guest. You can go follow him at BTC Dragonlord of the legendary Caro, man. This guy, bro, this guy's a legend, man. He survived the bear market with us. We got close together in Bitcoin kindergarten. You can go check out his book, Bitcoin and the Trust Problem. It's going to drop on Amazon very soon. And of course, definitely go check out his podcast, Bitcoin Rehab. You can go follow it. You can go follow it at Bitcoin Rehab. But anyways, guys, that was the show. You know what to do. If you enjoyed the show, smash that like button. And of course, if you want to continue hearing the news from the Bitcoin PLEB perspective,
English, motherfucker, do you speak it?
And the catastrophic fiat and shitcoin fails, definitely consider subscribing. And we will see you on Monday for another episode.
Monday or Tuesday?
Tuesday for another episode of Simply Bitcoin.